Okay, so today we are going to be talking about arrays. Spoken about it a few times. They're a very useful tool to hold, okay, so arrays hold many variables or objects of the same type. And often when I think about arrays, I think of them like as a train. So if I want an array of integers, I think about, okay, I want this many integers stored, and they're all connected, so I like to, they're not just separate boxes like variables are, they're connected. And a few things that you have to know is they're very much like strings, where the position, and we call this the index, and strings we called it the position, but it's the same idea. The index starts at 0. So the very first value of this array would be at the 0 spot. So we have two types of values. We have the indexes, and they go up linearly. And then we have the values inside. So the values inside, in this case, they're always integers. That's how I made it. But I can also make them doubles. So I could also make these doubles or strings. Okay, and they can hold a whole bunch of variables of the same type. And that's the visual you kind of want to keep your mind open to when we're going through the demos. So this is the demo, and I'm going to put it in the computer in just a minute. But this is the demo, and there's a few things that you have to realize, and I'm just going to discuss them and go to the computer. Okay, this is how you declare an array. You'll notice that it's an object. Okay, so this comes from the array class. However, the way that we declare it is, see this? And this, that's the type that goes there. So if I want an array of integers, I do int, and then the two square brackets. Then this is the name. Okay, this number right here tells you how many values. So how many ints are being stored. So that number can never change. That number can never change. You can't make an array bigger once you've made it. So that's obviously a conundrum that we have to deal with. But you can't make it bigger or smaller once you've created it. So there you go. So we're going to be doing a few things to it, but what you have to realize is the way that you refer or to each member of the array is is like this. Excuse me, I just want these. So these values right here, notice the square brackets refer to each position of the array. So if I were to draw this, there's 1, 2, 4, 5 values in this array. This is the 0 one, so they're saying in the 0 spot, put 99. In the 1 spot, put 53. In the 2 spot, put 77. In the 3 spot, put 101. And in the 4th spot, put 81. So the indexes allow you to refer back to it. Now you're saying, Ms. Barris, how is it different if I just do score 1, score 2, like that? Well, these are individual variables, and we really don't have access to that 1 and 2. Having access to being able to identify those numbers makes it so that a for loop down here will make it a lot easier to run through all the different ones that we have. So we use a lot of for loops when we're dealing with arrays. So remember, down here is the index, and here is the value inside. So it's very important you keep those two separate when you're doing these kinds of problems. Okay, the last thing I want to do before I go into the computer is I want to show you the length. Okay, so if we come down here, you'll see this code right here. I can't erase it now because of the wonderfulness of this program I use. But this line right here and that. So scores is the name of our array. And you'll notice that has dot length. What you have to be aware of is dot length. That length is not a method. Okay, like in a string, we use the parentheses and show that it's a method here. But it's not, no, a method. It's actually a property or a field in the class that we created. So this is just a property. So we can refer to it, scores.length, anytime that we want. So that just tells us how long the array is at any given moment. So if we, we should know for the most part, but if we need it, and it's good to use that instead of, say, 5 when you're referring to it. So these for loops are going to look very similar to the ones we used when we did some string work, but these are used to traverse an array. So this would take an array and go forward, so it would start at 0. We start at 0 because the position starts at 0. Okay, and we go to less than the length, because the length for this guy is 5, and less than the length would take me to 4. So they should look pretty similar to many for loops that we've been using in the past.